I'm going to go ahead and delete this title, and I'm going to create a new one. Notice that even though I deleted it here in the timeline, the title still exists here in the project panel. And I'll name this title O2. And there you go. Just like you can create templates, you can also create styles. Styles are no more than things like font color, whether it has a shadow, a stroke, etc., etc. And I find those a little bit easier to explain if I am using shapes instead of text. So let me go ahead and select one of these shape tools, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle. These transform parameters refer to things like opacity. I can make things semi-transparent. X and Y position. X is side to side positioning and Y is up and down. The width and the height, those are pretty self-explanatory. And of course the rotation, measured in degrees. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Control or Command Z. I can also change the graphic type in here, rectangle, ellipse, arc, etc., etc. I'm going to go ahead and collapse that. I can also distort this on the X and the Y parameters. And don't forget that this also applies to fonts. And I can change the fill. I can change the fill from a solid color that I can change in here to a linear gradient, so gradually goes from one color, whatever that is, to another color. I can change that color's opacity, angle, and I can even repeat it. Instead of having a linear gradient, I could have a radial gradient. I can also have a 4-color gradient, in which case I could choose 4 separate colors. I can choose a bevel, which I can light up, and I can change the size. That gives it a little 3D-ish look. I can eliminate. This will make this invisible, and I can use this temporarily in case I'm working on something else. It would be the equivalent of making a Photoshop layer invisible. And I can also choose Ghost. What Ghost does is that it's going to make my shape or font invisible except for the shadow. The shadow is the only thing that will render when you change the fill type to Ghost. I'm going to change it back to solid. A sheen is no more than a little glint of light or a line, and I can change the size of it, the color, etc., etc. I can also change the angle and the offset. Many times when we want to emulate metal, we will use sheen. Texture, of course, is when we want to add some kind of texture, but in this case it's a graphic to be the fill of this particular shape or font. So I can click here and I can choose any of these. And there you go. This is now the fill. Or I can choose not to have it. A stroke is an outline, so I can add one. And there you go. And I can add an inner stroke or an outer stroke. I can change the type, the size, the actual fill. All of those are available for the stroke and only the stroke. And of course, sheen and texture. I can also add a drop shadow. We already saw that. And I can change from the drop shadow color, opacity, angle, distance, all of those things. Very important. And of course, the size. And I can add a background fill. In other words, if I don't want transparency, I could just add a background, but that's not what I want to do right now. Let me go ahead and change this to a radial gradient, and I'm going to dramatically change this color so that we see a big difference, and I will repeat it about yay times. and I'm going to save this as a style. To save it as a style, all I need to do is go to the titles in here, to the panel menu of these styles. Click and choose New Style. I'm just going to call it Test. Click OK. And now this style is available for us right here. So if I delete this and I choose any other style and I draw another rectangle or type something, all I need to do is click here and it's going to go back to what I saved. This is how you create and save styles.